Good morning, good afternoon, and welcome to Movie Night here on Random Trek. I am your rebellious captain, Christopher Engel, joined as always by my first officer, the man who clearly would like to push me out of an airlock, just like Princess Leia wanted to push a certain young man. That's a different movie, but still, Commander Brennan, the mystical mark. Brennan, I don't want to be pushed out an airlock.
That is why you failed.
No, no. But we today we're going to take a look
Close
at
enough.
it is possibly considered the greatest sci-fi sequel ever made, The Empire Strikes Back. Brennan, what do you say about this? I know you're the Star Wars guy. What do we say about this movie?
It's one of the few Star Wars things that is a masterpiece, I think.
It really is. I haven't seen a better film. This is so good, and it's filled with Shakespearean tension, and it's such a fabulous film that we decided to make this a crossover week for us.
Yeah.
So joining us for our review today, uh, he is over at the And I Quote Podcast Network, where he hosts many an event there, and where Brennan and I will be joining later this week with him in a watch along of this very same film. It is Ryan Permison. Ryan, how you doing?
We're fine. I'm all fine here now. Thank you. How are you?
Oh,
Good as company.
well played, well played. Ryan, we'll jump right into this. How do you feel about The Empire Strikes Back and where it sits in the pantheon of film history?
It's definitely one of the greatest. It's definitely a film that moves. It doesn't waste any time. It cuts right to the chase. It's very well paced. You know, it sets up one scene and then that scene leads into the next, and it's very good at like making sure it just goes. It just goes. And definitely the action sequences are fantastic. The Battle of Hoth is still 45 plus years later. It's still iconic. It's great. It makes us all wish we could pilot a speeder, go after those giant AT-AT walkers, and give the Empire a bit of a run for its money. I mean, we kind of can pull off a Dak attitude. Right now, I feel like I take on the whole Empire myself. I know what you mean. Not so much for Dak though. It doesn't end well for him. Very early
Fortunately,
on
no.
too. Very sad. Very sad. But no, it's a great movie. It's got some quotable dialogue in there. I heard some of it was improv while they were shooting it. I think Carrie Fisher improv some of it, which is brilliant. So yeah, I mean, and also it landed us with one of the best insults. That's basically someone cursing without actually cursing, and it ends up on a T-shirt. I mean, who doesn't want to, have a T-shirt that says "scruffy looking nerve herder" on it? So it's
Scruffy looking.
scruffy, exactly. Yeah.
Oh,
Um, it's great. There's a reason this film still holds up. There's a reason people still talk about it 45 plus years later. I mean, we were all blown away whenever we saw the original, and then the sequel comes out and it just improves upon its predecessor, and it takes the story forward in so many different ways. And then it has the father/mother of all twists, although I don't consider it really that big of a twist. Really, I didn't have much of a reaction to it growing up, and I still don't to this day. I mean, I can just watch and be like, oh, okay, so that's what's going on. All right, well, you still need to die though, Vader, because you messed up. You made some problems for us, but other than that, yeah, it's one of the goats. It's one of the best Star Wars movies ever made. I don't think it's the absolute number one greatest Star Wars film of all time, but that's a ranking for another day.
I was gonna say, are you on the Mark Ellis train? Jedi? Are you a Jedi guy?
Well, it's funny because Mark Ellis and I would have been fast friends back in elementary and middle school because I thought Return of the Jedi was my favorite of all time, and then some other films came later that I put a little bit
Oh,
higher than those. So yeah,
right. Well, let's get right into it. I turn the con over to Brennan.
Thank you, Captain Sir. Yeah, I mean, what can we say about this film that hasn't been said? So let's jump right into it. So the story is a bit interesting because the original film had a very straightforward story. Rescue the princess, destroy the Death Star, pretty easy. Empire has a much more complex, deep, dark story that is maybe not as simple as the original film and delves into deeper and darker territory than the original. So we have the story here is basically that Han and Leia are on the run for the Empire while Luke trains to be a Jedi with Yoda. And then everything all meets together and everything goes wrong and everything goes to heck. Which is great. Great ending, and I think a lot of films that are the second in a trilogy like to end on that kind of um, uncertainty, I think. So looking at the story as a whole, Ryan, what do you think of the story of this film?
No, I mean, I think, it's a really good, it's a really good story. I mean, obviously Yoda, I think, steals the show in every scene that he's in, and he gives us really good wisdom. I mean, we could all learn a thing or two from Yoda, who's
That's
just a
true.
little itty bitty little puppet. I mean, what is he like, 2.5, 3 feet, barely 3 feet tall, and he's puppeteered slash voiced by one of the goats, Frank freaking Oz from
Oh, yeah.
Jim Henson and his team. I mean, come on. So no, I think the story is really good. The story is really, really good, but it is dark, though. I'm not going to lie, though. This film is a bit not 1,000% depressing, but it is a bit of a depressing movie. Because the good guys are getting their behinds handed to them at every turn. Luke finds out that, spoiler alert for a 45-year-old movie, guys. Vader's his old man, and it's like, wow, okay. And he's the guy who's been responsible for all this killing, all this bloodshed, and hunting down rebels for this entire time that the war's been going on between the Rebel Alliance and the Galactic Empire, right? So kind of makes you wonder, do I really want to keep rewatching this every couple of weeks, every couple of months? Because it's not a happy-go-lucky film like New Hope and Return of the Jedi is. Sure, Return of the Jedi has some dark elements too, but it does have a lot of. I feel like Return of the Jedi is two separate films, really, because the first half is about rescuing Han, and then the second half is about taking down the Empire, which I think is kind of cool, really. But anyway, focusing on Empire, yeah, no, it's a good story. It's a dark and depressing one. Sorry to say. But the battles on Bespin and then Lando being smooth as smooth as velvet with his one-liners in there, Chris and Brennan, those are really darn cool. I mean, honestly, any scene that Yoda and Lando are in, they make the film come a bit more alive and more kind of like chill. Maybe not chill, but just they add nuance to it. Is that the word, right? Yeah. They add nuance to it while everybody else is scrambling to figure out how we're going to get away from the Empire, right? So yeah, good story, really good story. But like I said before, it's a really good film. It's in everybody's top 5 when it comes to ranking all their Star Wars movies, guaranteed. And if it's not, then it should be. But yeah, it's a really good story. It's just like I said before, it's a good story. It's a great movie. It's just not the GOAT for me, but that's okay. There's no shame in that. There's no right or wrong way to rank these things.
Nice. All right. And Chris, your thoughts on the story here?
I really do feel that this is the consummate Shakespearean tragedy.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything that could go wrong does. And yet there's still hope at the end of the film. There is a chance that, our heroes are going to come out of this positive. We've got another shot at this. We can do this, but we got to go rescue our, and of course that leads into Jedi. But I really love how from the very beginning, nothing is going right. Our heroes have been discovered. They've got to make an escape. Luke's got to survive going into this battle, which, by the way, that battle, best part of the N64 classic Shadows of the Empire. I played that level over and over and over again.
Yes, I would agree there.
But nothing goes right. Evading the Empire, the Falcon in the asteroid field and in the worm, and then dealing with Lando and Cloud City and Luke in his training. Like nothing goes right. Everything goes wrong. And it really does feel like one of the Henry tragedies. They're more of a history, but it feels like that to me. And that's what I love about this film is for being part of a hero's journey. This is where things don't go great, and they're not going to. For Lucas to go on a negative turn on this is part of what makes this realistic. Our heroes for that moment in 1980 did not have plot armor. We didn't know what was going to happen. And so for this to take that downturn was so important and such a great story. For me, this is the best of them from a story standpoint. This is the one that really sets the stakes and sets the personal stakes of each of our characters. We really establish the love between Leia and Han. We see what is at risk for Luke. Everybody has got something on the line here, and something goes wrong for each of our characters. I love it. This was such a well written thing, and I do think it's even written better than A New Hope.
Yeah, it was very wise decision for George Lucas to hire Lawrence Kasdan.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, this is Lucas's story, but the script is from Lucas and Kasdan, and we get probably the best screenplay, I would argue, of any of the Star Wars films. And you mentioned Joseph Campbell and The Hero's Journey. For those of you who read Dante's Inferno, that's what this is. Dante finds himself lost in this dark forest and journeys through a lot of bad stuff before emerging to a sense of hope. That's what this journey is in this film, because in any hero journey story, there has to be the moment where everything goes wrong. And this, I think, is able to tell that part of the story with such brilliance and such thought to it that it really works extremely well. We come then to the characters of this. To make things brief, we're not going to go into every character, but we are going to go into those who are new or who play a or a significant progression of the character. But we'll start with Darth Vader, and the reason being that in A New Hope, even though he looks kind of cool, and we learn a little bit about his backstory, he really is more of the stock villain in A New Hope. It's The Empire Strikes Back where his character really becomes the Darth Vader that we all know and love. Um, or maybe love is the wrong word, but you know, the Darth Vader that we all recognize as one of the great movie villains. But Chris, we'll start with you. What do you think of Vader's arc in this story, as well as what they're able to do with the character that they did not do in the original film?
I really like the increase of Vader's presence. You know, the looming threat that is always there, but also that Vader is not the big bad evil that we think he is, that there is something higher. There is more. And I like that. You were meant to be afraid of him in the first one, but we defeated him. Great. Well, now he's back. He is back for his own little brand of revenge, and I'm going to get my own form of justice. But we find there's someone above him pulling his strings. And I really like that to him. And we find more motivations for Vader. All right, I'm not going to defeat the son of Skywalker. I'm going to turn him. I'm going to make him one of us. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I love it. absolutely love Vader in this. Again, very Shakespearean. The feels like the well, now we know it's his father, but and we'll get into that twist, but man, you can't deny that that arc for him to discover that deeper connection isn't one of the greatest moments in film history, bar none, period, point blank.
Certainly, I mean, obviously, it's yet again, it's David Prowse and James Earl Jones. And stunt coordinator Bob Anderson for the fight scenes. What they are able to do in terms of performance, because as I mentioned, in the original film, he's pretty much like a stuck villain kind of thing. This is able to make him not only more fearsome, but also more just more depth to the character. And that's the one thing about this film is that it adds depth to pretty much all the characters here, which is interesting. Um, and so Vader, of course, is now we understand a bit more about him. We understand how he operates and how he controls people, which is basically by killing people who fail him, which is a fun little thing. And also just the fact that there is something going on there inside that helmet that his desire to convince Luke to join him on his side. That there is a certain, I don't think the word is compassion, but there is a certain desire to be with his son. He wants that. He wants it for all the wrong reasons, but he wants that connection. And we discover more of how threatening he is. And Yoda talks about the fact that we learn a little bit that Vader chose, the wrong path, and that Luke is in danger of running into that path. Ryan, your thoughts on how they advance the character of Darth Vader here?
Well, this may not be the best analogy, but it's kind of like in Marvel where, Logan is Logan. He gets upset, he gets angry at times, but then he doesn't go into full berserker mode unless he gets really ticked off. This is where Vader kind of like he's Banner, but then in Empire he wants payback for what happened in the first film, so he kind of like turns into the Incredible Hulk to a certain extent, even more so because he's choking all his officers to death. He's promoting people after the last person gets choked out to death, right?
You
And
are in command now, Admiral Pete.
yeah, exactly. Like he just chokes everybody out that does because there's so many mistakes that the Empire's made in the last one and a, the last film and then leading into this one. It's like, okay, we got to find these rebels. I'm getting tired of this garbage. I'm getting tired of everybody not doing what I'm telling them to do. I'm just going to choke everybody out at this point because I'm so ticked off, right? So he chokes everybody out, and then eventually when he does find the rebels and he goes to lure Luke in on Bespin, and by the way. Do I like the advancement of the character? Yes. Do I like the fact that there's someone else pulling the strings and not because we all think Vader is calling all the shots around here, but it turns out he's not. He's just taking orders from a bigger dude who's 10 times older than him and's got wrinkles all over his face, but he's pulling the strings, right? But he's pulling the strings from a hologram. He's not even real yet. He's just a hologram in the Empire Strikes Back. By the way, we lost him not too long ago. R.I.P. to OG Emperor Palpatine, Clive Revell. We missed you, man. We missed you. And he was also the OG voice of Alfred in Batman TAS.
Yes, he was. Yes.
Yeah, he was OG right there. So we got to give Clive Revel a lot of credit here. Some people like the fact that they replaced him later on in the special edition. Some people prefer the original. I prefer the original just because we didn't know what the Emperor is. We didn't know who the Emperor was. We had no
He
idea
was
there was one. We had
he
no
was
idea.
mysterious. He was creepy. He was kind of.
Yeah, we had no idea. And Clive Rebel did a great job, so we miss you, man.
And
But yeah,
also, because this is a Star Trek podcast, Clive Revel did appear in a Star Trek episode. So,
yeah, he's crossed everybody's streams. Everybody
yeah.
wins.
So,
Thanks, Egon. Great
yes,
safety
much
tip.
love to
Thanks, Egon.
him. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. But no, the advancement of Vader is really good in this. And the other thing is when he really goes full berserk mode on Luke and just like going at him one after the other with his lightsaber, and then they finally confront each other on the ledge there, cuts his hand off, makes the devil's offer, be like, just join me. Just join me. We can rule this galaxy together. We can put all these problems between the rebels and the Empire aside, and we can just join forces. We could be the most powerful two people in the entire galaxy. And I mean, if we wanted to, we could take down my own boss, the Emperor, if we join forces.
Yeah.
Right? If we join together, we can take down Palpatine. We can take down anything and everyone in our way. And he makes this offer to Luke not once, but I think like 2 or 3 times throughout the whole gosh darn movie. So you're thinking to yourself, is Luke, because Luke just got his hand chopped off. So it's like, Luke, you might want to just join him, right? Because maybe he'll give you a fresh new hand on life. And then, maybe you'll get a new lightsaber. Maybe we get a new brand new company car or a company spaceship. Sorry. Not to drive back things into the real world here for a second, but you know what I'm saying, right? It's kind of like pulling a what's his face? Not Terrence Stamp. Who is it? It's Marlon Brando. I'm going to make you an offer you just can't refuse. You just can't. You just can't. But Luke, pulls a suicide mission on him and dives off that ledge because it's like, nah, I think I'd rather die than join forces with you, even though you're my dad. But
Funny thing is, this is not the first time that he does this, at least when we think chronologically. Go to Revenge of the Sith when he's with Padme and he wants Padme to stay with him. What does he say? Look, come with me. I'll defeat Palpatine myself. I'll take over. We'll turn the Empire. We'll rule the galaxy together. We'll turn it into whatever we want. This is not the first time he's tried to do this.
Yeah, true. But true, very, very true. I'm not gonna lie about that. But yeah, no, the advancement of the character is really good. Some really good character moments. And then when he's fighting off with Luke on Bespin, that's some of the best stuff you're ever gonna see in Hollywood filmmaking. Period. As soon as the elevator goes up and then you hear the overtones, the Force is with you, young Skywalker, but you're not a Jedi yet. Like that just sends chills down to everyone's spine every time you hear it because you don't see Vader initially, right?
Yeah.
And then he appears a couple of seconds later on the far end of the set there on the steps, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this like in the words of Kevin Hart, it's about to go down. Like it's going to go down, but it's going to be great because we're going to love every minute of it. But no, great advance for the character. And yeah, it didn't end well for Vader the first time he offered it to his wife because he choked her to death. But then apparently she lives 2 minutes later and is able to give birth to 2 kids. And then 2 seconds later, she dies of a broken. I have so many issues with Revenge of the Sith. It's not even funny. But aside from that, Empire, yeah, I have so many issues with that film. So many issues. But Empire with the advancement of Vader, it's in the words of the internet memes, it's been very, very good to me. It's good advancement, right? It works.
Yeah. No. And I'm glad you mentioned that shot, that connection of Vader in the carbonite chamber, standing there with the orange and blue light behind him. It's more like a silhouette. Is my favorite visual image in the entire Star Wars saga. Is that moment? It's operatic. It takes it to another level, and I think that Vader, in many ways, is the reason, maybe besides Yoda, why people tune into this. We come in now to Yoda, as we mentioned earlier, puppeteered by the great Frank Oz. And this was really a gamble, really, if you think about behind the scenes. They all say if this had gone wrong, it would have ruined the film. Yoda is now one of the most iconic characters in Star Wars. His words of wisdom are now, everyone knows them. And extremely applicable, I would argue. And the fact that he shows up and he's this weird little imp It just is causing nothing but trouble like a toddler. You know, throwing things and getting into stuff and in that moment where it goes, oh, we get it. It was a test for Luke. See, if Luke had the patience for it, it's like apparently not. So, but to get to see this playful side of the character, but also the serious side, and to totally believe that this little green guy is the wisest being in the galaxy. It's totally something that really it's a big surprise and also just a real treat, really, is what he is. Ryan, we'll start with you. Your thoughts on the addition of Yoda to this story?
I mean, what can we say that hasn't been said about this iconic character and Frank freaking Oz, who's the man, right? Frank Oz is the man. He's the goat, if not one of the goats, when it comes to characterization, puppeteering, and all that stuff. Thank you, Jim Henson. We miss you too, man, for sure. If it weren't for Jim, we wouldn't have any of this great stuff. And his team, of course. But Yoda's one of the greatest. I think he's one of my all-time favorite characters in Star Wars. I think he's my number two, if not my number three favorite character in the history of Star Wars, guaranteed. He's smart. He knows what he's doing. Every ounce of wisdom he gives to Luke, and just the audience, we as an audience, I mean, you hold on to it. You hold on to it. You listen to everything he's saying, even though he says everything backwards. But whatever. It's part of the character. It's what Frank Oz and his team over there came up with. It was brilliant. And it works really, really well. So Yoda's on T-shirts. Yoda's been on coffee mugs. He's been on posters that have been hanging on people's walls. Maybe even in Chris's classroom. I don't know. But if it's not, then it should be. Chris, get some Yoda posters with wisdom on it for those kids. They may learn a thing or two about the Force. All right, I'm just saying, bro. I'm just saying. But yeah, Yoda's the man. Love him to pieces. I think his addition to the story just adds even more nuance to it, more steps in the hero's journey for Luke, especially. It's great. I love Yoda. I always try to remember a lot of the things that are said by his character in my mind when I'm going through some rough patches, or I just need a friendly neighborhood reminder, as one might say. So, yeah, it's Yoda. It's Yoda. It's you're funny. I'm funny how like he's funny like I'm a clown. I'm usually sorry. That's a line from another film, but still,
We'll get there, yeah.
Yoda's the man. Yoda is the dog. He is the boss. He is fantastic. I wish I would have kept him puppeteered in the prequels, but like I said, that's a hashtag another story for another day. So good stuff. Good stuff, Yoda. We love you. What else can Chris possibly say that hasn't already been said? Honestly. But Chris, I mean, I'm just curious. I mean, I'm assuming that's where Brennan's going to go with this, right? Brennan, you're going to turn things over to the first officer over here. But yeah, Yoda's great. We love him, and I'm always going to love that character. He's probably my second or third favorite character in the history of Star Wars. Does that help?
Indeed. Captain Ingle, let's hear your thoughts.
There are two Yoda quotes that I use regularly. Of course, do or do not. There is no try.
Mm-hmm.
Too often, people use the word try as an excuse. I tried, and that should be enough. No, do it or don't do it. You can do it. And if you fail, get up, do it again. That simple. But my absolute favorite one, and I memorized this long ago, fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering. That
yeah,
is
not in this film, but
not in this film. That's true. But Yoda, we're just talking Yoda. Like the wisdom of Yoda is so important, and he really reminds me. Of course, there is a lot of influence from Japanese films, especially the samurai films, the Kurosawa films.
Oh,
and
yes, one of my favorites.
This really feels like you've got the sword master who is retired, doesn't want to help, doesn't want to train, doesn't want to do any of that. And he looks at you, you know what? You're not even ready. In fact, Tarantino talks about how much of an influence Yoda was on his creation of Hattori Hanzo in the Kill Bill movies. And again, this idea of coming to somebody who's out of the game. not a part of it anymore, but he hears a name, he hears something, you know what? I will train you, but I don't think you're ready. But I'm going to train you. I'm going to teach you. And it's important to have a mentor. We had Obi-Wan in the first one, but I still don't believe Obi-Wan taught Luke enough. There wasn't enough time. There just wasn't enough there. He got him going. Yoda right here is the important part. He's carrying him, he's flipping him, judge me by my size, do you? The lifting of the X-Wing. I could go on and on and on and on in this movie of moments where Yoda proves to Luke, you're just not ready yet. You need time. You need to be patient. And that's something I try to teach to my students. I know you're not ready. I know you don't have it. I'm going to make you I'm going to make you do it anyway. And if you don't get it right, we just go back and we do it again and again and again and again and again until you do. But Luke didn't understand that. But it takes a teacher like Yoda. And I'm a big sucker for Jim Henson puppetry. I have a weakness for it. I love it. Frank Oz, I could pit Frank Oz's voice anywhere in any film that he's ever voiced anything. I hear Frank Oz. Goes back to performances of Grover, Miss Piggy. I can go on and on and on. Like, I know Frank Oz's voice. So when I hear this, it brings so much comfort and joy to me because it is a voice that is familiar to me, a voice that, like when I think of Grover, even as silly as Grover is, I learned a lot from Grover. I learned a lot from Sesame Street, and now I'm learning from Yoda. I'm learning from the master. By the way, you want to talk about one of the darkest directors in film history? Check out some of Frank Oz's work. That's all I'm saying there. But Yoda is the absolute best addition to this film. And it is probably the most recognizable character in Star Wars. People who say, oh, I've never watched Star Wars, they know what Yoda is. In fact, in The Mandalorian, we don't even still refer to him as Grogu. We refer to him as Baby Yoda. We shouldn't, but we do. Yoda is that iconic, that important to this. And it has stuck for a reason, and this film did that.
Absolutely, absolutely, and he's so believable. It's what he is. It could have, instead of going for a Muppet look, which is very, obviously meant to be have a certain degree of fakery to it. They tried to go realistic here, and it totally works. It absolutely works, and it could have gone wrong so very easily. And I know that now we mentioned the Yoda quotes. The one that stands out to me is when Luke says, "What's in there?" referring to the dark side cave. And Yoda says, "Only what you take with you." And I think that that is a lesson that can be applied to anything in life. It's what you get out of something, it's what you bring into it. Certainly, Chris, I'm sure as a teacher, what your students are willing to bring is what they will get out of your class.
Yeah.
Then, of course, we have to talk about Lando Calrissian. One of the most smooth, debonair, slightly cheesy, but in a good way kind of characters. Played by the ever wonderful Billy D. Williams, who adds a level of charisma that I had never seen in anyone else. Now, of course, Lando unfortunately makes some bad decisions, but then makes good decisions and chooses the right thing in the end. And ultimately saves our heroes. Chris, your thoughts on Captain Calrissian?
Eventually General Calrissian.
Eventually General, yes.
General. Anyway, I really love that this character in the 1980s, He's very indicative to me of Jareth from Labyrinth.
Oh,
There is a
interesting.
charm and a charisma. While he is not as villainous as Jareth
And
is,
he doesn't wear Jarrett's pants, thank
oh.
goodness.
um,
We
there
won't go there.
is there is a little bit of suave charisma, but he's devilish. He's doing it for certain reasons, but he almost has villainous, roguish tendencies. And in a lot of ways, really reminds me of Jareth in that. Very suave, very debonair, and very pansexual. First character I can think of growing up that I saw that really iconicizes this. He's attractive to men, he's attractive to women, it doesn't matter. People love him. He's charming, and even when he does the wrong thing, he's always got the right thing to say. But he does have a heart of gold because, as we know, in the end, he chooses the right thing to do.
Hmm.
And this performance is just so suave and so debonair, and I love it. It's almost Earl Flynnish in a way too.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I would have said the same thing about Earl Flynn. Like, there's kind of this pansexual kind of like, yeah, I get it. I get it. Okay, I see it.
It's
Yeah.
attractive to all people kind of
Kind of,
thing.
yeah. And he's enjoyable. He's great. This performance, I wouldn't have expected it when I was a kid, and I didn't understand that when I was younger, but now I understand it better. He's just fabulous.
Yes, indeed. Ryan, your thoughts on Lando Calrissian?
It's funny, considering the fact that this movie itself came out in 1980, and then the great, iconic, still quotable film to this day, Batman '89, came out 9 years later. The fact that Harvey Dent used to be a space pirate and used to woo
Yeah,
women,
yeah.
steal people's money with a smile on his face. I mean, you can make an argument that Billy D was a bit of a joker. Maybe he was a bit of a two-face during the space age in 1980 AD, as it were. So uh, it's um, it's interesting. He could play a charming DA in one movie, and then or a new DA in one film, and then he plays a charming space pirate in another. It's crazy. But that's the range of an actor, right, fellas? That's the range of an actor. So Billy D. You think selling me Coke 45 is one thing? I mean, you be in two different characters in two of the biggest DC and Star Wars franchise, movie franchises of all time, whether it's Batman or Star Wars. You killed it, man. You killed it. I wish you would have gotten more character development with the sequel with Batman Returns, but unfortunately they didn't bring you back for that. I'm sorry. But you did get to play Two-Face in the voiceover sense with Lego Batman movies. You did get a little bit of
Yeah.
redemption there, Billy D. A little bit, not much, but you did get a little bit of time in the sun there in Lego Batman. But anyway, that's a story for another day entirely, right, Brennan? But in this film, he's cool. He's cool, trying to woo Leia, even though Han's like falling in love with her right before his eyes. Like, how you doing, you pirate? So good to see you. I mean, come on, man. It's fun. It's just fun, and he gives
What
levity
have
to a
we
film.
here?
Well, he gives levity to a film that's very dark and depressing, right? So when he shows up, and he kind of plays these mind games between him and Han, and a little bit of Leia too. It's fun. It's fun entertainment. The guy runs a mining facility, whatever it is, on Bespin, doing all this stuff, showing Han and Leia and everybody around, what's been going on and things like that. And then the big reveal happens midway through, and he's like, "Well, they got here like 2 seconds, maybe 2 minutes before you did. I'm sorry." I'm sorry too. So it's like, ooh, you made a deal with the devil? Ooh, that's gonna come back to bite you in the keister there, sonny boy. Which it does, right? But he makes the right decision in the end. He gives Leia the two blasters, takes the handcuffs off of Chewie. Chewie wants to choke the life out of him, though, right? So that was kind of
There's
fun.
still a
Like,
chance to save
yeah,
him.
I had no choice. it's,
It's
it's
great.
good stuff. It's entertaining. It's good character development to see two different sides of what is it, Lando. He plays the good guy for 1 second, turns bad the next, but then he redeems himself at the end, right? Everything to a certain degree comes full circle to a certain extent with him in this one film, even though it comes even more full circle in Return of the Jedi, respectively. But it's good. It's good character stuff. And Billy D he's a smooth guy. He's a smooth actor, right? And it's funny because in his memoirs he says, I just try to have as much fun with the characters that I play, or I just do it. I don't even think about what character I just do it. You know what I mean? He kind of pulls like a Yoda kind of philosophy, right, Chris? Where any character he plays, he just does it. He just goes for it. He has fun with it, but he also tries to enjoy himself, because he doesn't know whether this role that he's playing in one film is going to lead to the next. He just kind of takes life as it comes, right? He just lives in the moment. And that's what Billy D loves to do, and I respect him for that. If I ever get a chance to see him at a convention or whatever it is, I'm more than happy to tell him so. And then I'll tell him, hey, loved you in Batman, but you were really good as Lando in the Star Wars. I'm just saying. So yeah, Lando's a cool
I want to
character.
go up to him and go, man, I loved you in Undercover, brother.
Well, there was that too. I liked him in that too. He shows up in that, and then he makes a
He
cameo
sings
in
the
the.
blues.
Well, here's the other thing, Chris. He makes a cameo in The Ladies' Man with Tim Meadows, so you got to give him credit for that.
You were
So
great in Ladies Man.
I know, right?
Because he is a ladies' man.
He is. He literally is. Doesn't matter what age he is. He's smooth as velvet, as one might say, right, Brennan? So, yeah, Lando's a good character introduced to the universe or this galaxy because it just adds more layers to it, right? So those are my 2 cents on it.
Yeah, I think cool is the optimum word of this character. He has a charm and a grace that we all kind of aspire to in a way. Um, I mean, what else can be said? I mean, Billy D is having a blast playing this character. And he has these incredible lines. That border just on the cheesy, but he can get away with it because, hey, it's Billy D. I mean, that is what it is. And of course, we got to give a brief shout out to his buddy Lobot. It looks like Captain Picard with a computer stuck to his head. But anyhow, yeah, Lando really brings so much charm to this film. So then we come to the music of this film. I think this is John Williams' greatest score. I believe it's The Empire Strikes Back. This is where we get the introduction of the iconic Imperial March, Yoda's theme, Han and Leia's theme. So many new pieces of music that are now iconic to Star Wars. And really elevates, as John Williams always does, elevates the film to a whole nother level. So Chris, we'll start with you. Maestro John Williams has given us some of the most iconic scores in film history. This one, at least I think, might be his magnum opus. But regardless, what are your thoughts on the music and what it adds to the film?
Um, it's so complex. If you break this down, and I had to in college, you break down this score, there are subtones in the faster, nicer playing things that actually have the Empire theme playing underneath it that you could barely, hear because you're picking up the regular melodies and stuff, but that undertone, oh, so good. These kinds of things are absolutely wonderful in this film, and two themes in particular stick with me all the time. Of course, the Empire theme, which I've gotten in trouble for because that was my wife's ringtone for a while.
Oh,
We didn't do that again. But also Han and Leia's love theme. I adore it, and we would not get Across the Stars from Attack of the Clones without this theme. Across the Stars is my personal all-time favorite. I just love it. It's beautiful. It really is. Yeah,
it's absolutely gorgeous. Yes,
it's absolutely gorgeous. I've actually been choreographing a dance performance to this for years that I really have. Yeah. Well, anyway, but it's Han and Leia's theme that walks so that way that theme can run. And they're iconic. They're beautiful. They are great settings. They know how to play. And the thing is, even to this day, when you hear dun dun dun, you know something bad is about to happen. Like it tells you how to feel the entire time. It's so dissonant, it's so militaristic. I love it. And yet Han and Leia's theme is so light and hopeful and airy, but it's always quick and it's cut off quickly. And I love that because their love, the chance for them to be together for a moment is always cut in pieces. Um, this is beautiful. I don't know if this is John Williams' greatest, but I'm not going to argue against it.
Well, your thoughts on the music and what it adds to this thing?
I mean, John, what can we say that hasn't been said about JW, right? John Williams, the man. The reason we're all sitting here today because of his iconic music for so many different films, so many different franchises, so many different scores. I think Empire is a really good score, especially during the Battle of Hoth sequence. I think is a great piece of music, right? I think we can all agree here. The Battle of Hoth score is fantastic. I think the certain musical elements that are used during the battle between Luke and Vader, I think especially towards the end when he dips himself into that silo, is cool, is good stuff. I think it's really good stuff, right? But I don't think it's his best score when it. We could talk about John Williams' greatest score. I mean, that's a completely separate video. We could go off on that for days, which could be a lot of fun, by the way, Chris. I'm just saying. Music is the language of the soul, brother. Come on now. Just saying. But yeah, when it comes to J-Dub, I would say this is a really good score. It's not his best, but it's very, very good to me. It's very, very good to Star Wars. It's very, very good. So there are definitely good elements to it. The Han and Leia theme, though, man, I haven't, when we do, I mean, obviously we won't be able to hear it during the rewatch on Friday, but I'm going to go back and listen to some of this stuff because I don't have the same feelings or opinions that you fine fellows do, but maybe, who knows? I need to do a reassessment of this, right? I need to sit down and listen to it again. But Battle of Hoth, battle between, Luke and Vader, and then when they fly off trying to get away from the Empire and they're flying away, right, with Lando running the ship and Leia kind of co-piloting it, whatever, or Leia's piloting it, Lando's kind of helping in the background by getting Luke off of that, ledge, that thing, right, the tower there. That is good stuff. That is good stuff. When they're escaping and you're like wondering, are they really going to be able to escape this thing? Because the Empire runs Bespin and they got all these fighters roaming around, right? It's good stuff. It's good stuff. John Williams, he never, in my opinion, even if it's a film that's not quite as good as the director or filmmakers maybe want it to be, John Williams makes it good, if not great. You see what I mean? His music just adds more to it than anything you could possibly fathom, as one might say. So yeah, solid score. Don't think it's its best, but like I said, Chris, Brennan, that's a discussion for another day. When it comes to Star Wars scores, there are a couple of elements, maybe one or two movie scores that I think are slightly better than Empire, but Empire is definitely one of the really, really good ones, one of the most iconic. I mean, am I allowed to say that? So yeah, those are my 2 cents, Brennan. Hopefully that answers your question without going too far off the rails.
Yeah, John Williams elevates everything that he works on. The music is the glue that holds it together. And a lot of people, I think, maybe sometimes forget that the Imperial March did not appear in the original film.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, really quick, we're not going to talk about it, but just to say, to give a huge shout out to the late Irvin Kershner, who directed this film. Um, his sense of direction is so impeccable here, that it really elevates the franchise to another level. Um, So then, of course, as we come to the end, we have to talk about one big thing here, which is the spectacle of this film. The visual effects here are amazing. The the advancement in visual effects at a time when CGI was barely used in anything, um, barely existed. Um, the visual effects here of like the Battle of Hoth with the AT-ATs, the various the asteroid chase, and many other things. The spectacle of this film is on another level than even the original film. Um, as George Lucas always wanted to push the envelope in terms of what visual effects could do. And and I believe it was this film that Phil Tippett basically created his go motion, which would become a major part of 80s special effects. Um, and so it just on and also just the cinematography. This is a beautiful looking film. Um, so many iconic visuals that were put together for this film. So Ryan, we'll start with you. What are your thoughts on just the spectacle of this film?
I mean, the fact this was right as special effects were starting to be developed, or somewhat of the special effects technology, I believe, was on the cutting edge of being developed. This was before they started using it more so in films such as Tron and The Last Starfighter, if I remember correctly. So, which are fun films, by the way. You should check those out. Speaking of sci-fi, hello. But no, when it comes to spectacle, yeah, this is I don't, and it's so crazy to me that during the sequence, if I'm remembering this correctly, gentlemen, that the Battle of Hoth was used with all miniatures. Like none of that stuff happened in real life. It was all miniatures. It was models. It was specific shots that they used to incorporate to make it look like people were actually flying through and blasting these things to make it look realistic, right? So the fact that they did that when no one else was and no one had the guts to do it, and the fact that everyone who worked behind the scenes made this so real that you could feel like you're in the movie or you're in this world, you're on the ice planet known as Hoth, right? Then you're being flown over to Cloud City investment, then you're being flown to Dagobah, all this stuff, practical sets, miniatures, models, all this stuff. This is one of the things for me anyway that makes this film so iconic. Is it's practical, it's real, it's in your face. This is where we're going, this is what we're doing, this is how we're doing it. And I believe, even though you're a kid, but now that I'm an adult and I'm more versed in films and filmography, people's filmographies, IMDb and all that kind of stuff, it's so good. It's so good. It's great, in my opinion. The way the sets are, the way people are interacting with each other, the way things feel so real, right? That you feel like you can touch it to a certain extent, right, fellas? So it's yeah, this is a great spectacle. It's a such a good, if not great, movie for so many different reasons. But one of the bigger reasons for me that I really like this movie is because of the fact that it's practical sets with real people, no green screens, no blue screens, no fakery, no spending $300 million on a visual effects shot that nobody cares for, which we got a lot of later on in life, fellas. I'm sorry to say, bad news, Hollywood, bad news. But no, this is definitely a spectacle that everyone should witness, if not behold. If you've seen this movie, go back and revisit it. If you've never seen this movie before, treat yourself and watch it, and see how filmmakers broke their backs and cut their teeths making these kinds of movies with real sets, practical effects, miniatures, all this other stuff, because they don't do it like that anymore, right? In the words of, does anyone remember this? Our good friend Jack Nicholson, they don't make them like they used to, because they don't. They don't make movies like this like they used to, and I think they should, but they don't. Because Hollywood's so used to spending $300 million on visual effects. Sorry, but it's true. But yeah, no, this is a great film. This is a spectacle that everyone should watch, and if you haven't seen it, you should. And 7 billion people should be huge fans of Yoda at this point, right, Chris? They really should. They need to be fans of Yoda. They should be fans of so many other characters because this is a great example. And I said this to my class too. These three films are really good examples of the hero's journey written by Joseph Campbell and the hero's like steps that the hero takes to get to certain pinnacles of their lives. You see what I mean? It's great examples right there. It's great visual examples of the hero's journey, in my opinion. So those are my thoughts on what this means to me as a spectacle of a film, The Empire Strikes Back, which is why I'm excited to revisit this later this week on the Net Quote channel, hashtag always be promoting. And then I'm going to go back and watch it again.
Chris, your thoughts on the spectacle presentation here?
I love the special effects in this, and for 1980, this is very impressive. Blue screen technology is new. Impressive. Oh, I see what you did there. Ryan just put it impressive. I just
Most
the
Most
accent
impressive.
most impressive. The Vader.
That's a
pun.
great line to use in your class too.
Most
Mhm.
impressive. I mean, and so much of this film is the spectacle. The set designs, the graphics, everything that goes into this. The the um the matte paintings that go into this. I mean, Cloud City. Cloud City is gorgeous. And Cloud City in 1980 when this released was gorgeous, and in the special editions when they even added stuff, it's still gorgeous. This film actually, I will say, I think this film of the original trilogy got the best treatment from the special edition stuff that was added. And I love the little stuff that was added in the first one. Don't get me wrong. I'm okay with Jabba showing up. I know you don't like it. And going through Mos Eisley and things like that's great. But this one, it's just beautiful. It's all about really upping the beauty of it all, the puppet work and the graphics that go with it. The Wampa. That Wampa is amazing. Love that. And even the Tauntaun, it just all of it. I love puppets.
I thought they smell bad on the outside. Sorry.
I don't care. They look good on the outside too.
Yeah, they do.
Um,
They do.
they really do. I've wanted to actually have a
What about
blow up. I want to blow up one of those blow up costumes. That's just me on riding a Tauntaun and yeah, that's what I want. I've
I
seen it
would
done
love
for a
for that
horse.
to happen. I would love for that to happen.
Yeah.
And then
Sleeping bag.
the missus takes photos of you in it, and then we post them to social media. It'd be great.
Oh, it'd be great.
Yeah,
S-
please
so
make that
wonderful.
happen, guys. Make it happen.
Yeah, costume stores, please. I will buy that.
Tauntaun sleeping bag.
Or the Wampa. Just have the Wampa with the arm off. In fact, I don't
Yeah,
have
that
him
too.
here. He is in my trunk of my car. I have
Really?
a Build-A-Bear Wampa that the arm comes off.
Are you serious,
Yeah.
dude? That's awesome. Take photos and send it to me later. I want to see
And
that.
I also have the Rancor. I have the
Oh,
Rancor
get
as
outta
well.
here.
Yeah. And they're
Do you
so
have
happy. They're smiling. It's great.
I was gonna
Build-A-Bear,
say,
yeah.
do you have the Rancor trainer going, crying his eyes out when he dies?
No, I don't have Danny Trejo.
Darn it! I wish you
I
had
love
that.
Danny Trejo.
Just kidding.
Anyway, yeah, the spectacle to this, from the most practical to the computer generated effects of other time, and even when you go further to the special edition, it blends, it adds, and it doesn't take anything away. I feel immersed and lost in this world, and I enjoy it so much. It's iconic. All the imagery, everything that's brought into this. This is the most fun. I love New Hope. I love Jedi, and I like all the other ones too. But this one is the one that I just love to look around and see what's going on, what's happening. A probe droid. This is the first place I ever saw a probe droid for the brief, quick few seconds, and then special edition cleaned it up and like, oh, I see it better now. I understand now. Like, this is it. This one right here was the chef's kiss, 1980. It was absolutely perfect. And somehow they perfected perfection with the special edition.
Yeah, it is visually such a treat. It is. The AT-ATs are amazing, and they look so real. The beautiful shots of Cloud City during the sunset. Um, just absolutely gorgeous on so many levels, and even things like the fact that Dagobah is a set and not an actual location is extraordinary. So yeah, a visual treat on every level, and certainly is most iconic. One of the most iconic films when it comes to the history of visual effects. And that brings us basically to the end of discussing The Empire Strikes Back. We could go on and on and on and on. We'd be here for hours, days, weeks, months, who knows. But that's what we think. And I turn the con back over to you, Captain Ingle.
But this will not be the last time we talk about this week, because we will be on the And I Quote podcast later this week doing a watch along where you will then hear more of our personal thoughts and feelings as we watch it in real time. I promise you, I won't be as nitpicky as I was with Back to the Future 3.
Yeah, please don't. You were scaring the children in the audience.
Oh man, this
Don't
one's
worry,
fine. I love
we'll
watching
be
it. But now that you mentioned it, let's talk about that black lot. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I'm just kidding.
Anyway, so Brennan and I, along with our good friend Case Cornelese, and who else is joining us?
Hopefully, we're still waiting to get confirmation from our good friend Pow, aka the Powdalorian, the Padalorian on Instagram, who does a lot of Star Wars fan-related content, and who's been on And I Quote in the past. She loves Star Wars Legos, by the way, Chris. So you and her would get along famously. When it comes to that point.
Can I show you guys what I bought
if
myself?
If you want to, but yeah, hopefully Pal will be joining us. I'm in the process of getting in touch with her and figuring out if she can make it or not. So we'll find out. Right now, it's the four of us confirmed, but hopefully Pal.
I want your reaction, Ryan, before we end the podcast. I want to show you my next Star Wars build. Are you ready?
This is a Star Wars build. Okay, all right. So this is important note here that we have to keep in mind as we go on.
I finally bought this puppy.
Oh, you did? Let me see it. I can't see.
It is.
Oh, there. Ooh, it's a black one.
It's the Dark Millennium Falcon. Yeah.
Oh my goodness! Does that say? Was it 1579? Is it 1579?
Yeah, 1579. It's got a beach Luke, a white Jedi Vader, a Jedi Vader, Bounty Hunter C-3PO, Darth Dev, Darth Jar Jar, and Darth Ray.
Okay,
it's the mirror universe.
The mirror, yeah. I got it. Can we build? Yeah. Can we see? I want to see this finished. I want to see this done. I want to see this.
It'll probably be my project during my free time. What free time I do have during the summer, I'll build it.
Please do. I want to see it come to fruition. And then
I don't have a Millennium Falcon in my set. I was like, that's the one I want. It's affordable, reasonable. It's like, okay, and it's
a mirror universe of it. It's like, sure, why not?
Why not?
Because we never got it. We never got it in the original canon and stuff. So yeah, let's see that.
Ryan, we want to thank you for having us on. Tell us all about your podcast network.
Sure. Well, thanks for having me, both Brennan and Chris. It's good to see you guys again. Good to see you both. Absolutely, for sure. Yes. My name is Ryan. Hello there. Follow me across all forms of social media at And I Quote channel. That's where we talk about all things film, TV. We interview a lot of independent writers and publishers because we love reading books or comic books because they're awesome sauce, right? They're just as important as any other form of media, I should say. And in And I Quote channel, our mission statement is to embrace the nerd within you. So if that is something that you want to join in on with us, check us out on social media. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, the whole nine. But the primary stuff we do is on YouTube. We got a playlist for everybody's favorite characters or fandoms or types of discussion points, I would say. We do have a Star Wars Nerds playlist, but we also have the Movie Nerds playlist, which is where all our watch-alongs are being placed and put together. So check us out. We would love to have you there. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, ring the bell to be notified when the videos that we do go up or go live. Everything we do is live because we love interacting with you, the person who's watching and listening to this right now. So check us out. We're going to be talking about Empire Strikes Back for its 45th. I can't believe I'm saying this, Chris. 45th anniversary this week. And then we got some great plans for the remainder of 2025. But if you want to know more about it, you got to follow us. You got to follow us on social media, right, Brennan? So check us out there. And once again, thanks for having me. And I look forward to discussing more of the Empire Strikes Back during the course of our watch-along festivities. And then talking more about Star Wars as we go throughout the course of our lives. Because eventually, once I sit down and watch Andor season 2, Nerdy Cantina is going to come back, and I'm going to talk about my 2 cents on what went down in Andor season 2. So stay tuned for that later on in the summer of 2025. But thanks for having me, fellas. This was fun. This was fun. Look forward to diving into a more deeper, audio commentary, as one might say, for Empire Strikes Back's 45th anniversary watch along Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern time. So why don't you go ahead and join us? Why don't you?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, after that, next week we come back. When we come back, it's Deep Space Nine, correct, Brennan?
Mm-hmm.
It is Deep Space Nine. And we will be taking a look at the episode of Deep Space Nine, Season 3, Episode 10, Fascination, with an appearance from Lwaxana Troy. I
Oh, boy.
always love when the First Lady of Star Trek shows up.
Indeed.
It is the First Lady. So that is what we will be doing. Brennan, where can the people find you?
You can find me on Blue Sky at brennmart@bluesky.social. You can find me on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube at Page Turners They Were Not.
And you can find me on Twitch and Twitter this summer. I will be playing Final Fantasy games. I will be going through the Final Fantasy catalog. I have 1 through 7 I've purchased now, and Chrono Trigger. Gotta have Chrono Trigger. I'm a big fan of JRPGs, and so I will be going through those and playing through them periodically through the night. So that will be fun. But as always, we end every episode. Kapla, and live long and prosper.
May the Force be with you in peace and long life.